Hey, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about how to stop regret before it starts. Well, here we go. Matthew chapter 7, verses 24 and 27 in the New Living Translation
I like that.
of the Bible. Here we go. Anyone who listens to my teaching and follows it is wise. Like a person who builds a house on a solid rock, though the rain comes in torrents and the floodwaters rise and the winds beat against the house, sounds like a Pacific Northwest winter time, as we are in the Pacific Northwest right now until November. It won't collapse because it is built on bedrock, or another translation would say a solid rock.
Yes.
But anyone who hears my teachings and doesn't obey, it is foolish. Like a person who builds a house on sand, when the rains and floods come and the winds beat against that house, it will collapse with a mighty crash. Next, in a couple of weeks, we're going to go to the Oregon coast, and we'll get to be in the ocean, which we don't see in Iowa.
No, you don't. Not in Iowa.
And we'll get to go back out to the Oregon coast and see the winds and the waves. Jesus is clear that the quality of your decisions determine the quality of your life. The quality of your decisions determines the quality of your life. What do you think about that?
I think that's so good. And I really love, Matthew chapter 7 and really talking about, what it means to listen to teachings and make those decisions and the quality of our life, what that looks like. If that's true, and we really believe that that is true, then this also might be true. Now, you might want to gird your loins because some of these are really...
Did you say gird your loins?
Yes, gird your loins.
Gird your loins, everyone.
We eat more than we should.
Oh, oops.
And that's why I said gird your loins, because we're going to, get into maybe a little bit of business, because I think it's important to understand as we're really diving into this and regret. What does that look like? Mm-hmm. We eat more than we should. Maybe we buy more than we can afford.
Right.
And I think we've all been there, right? We've all done some of these things, and we say things we later regret.
Yeah.
Now, maybe some of the other ones, there's a little bit more shame on those two things. But I think our words, and it's something that I think about a lot, saying things I don't want to regret, because that words affect your life and the lives of others more than we could ever imagine. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. I think is one of the worst things that we teach or kids talk about, because actually it's reverse.
Yeah, simply not true.
But why is that? Let's look at 3 reasons, that we're talking about the quality of our decisions determine the quality of our life. We're overwhelmed with choices. Mm-hmm. I don't know about you, but when I wake up in the morning, there are so many choices, so many directions. It's like some of us are at a crossroad. A lot of times my morning, it's like, how many different roads can you take? And that's the decision that I make in the morning.
Within the next 30 minutes.
Right. And you got a clock tick, 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 or Jeopardy.
Time never stops.
Or you hear the Jeopardy, going, because you have to make a decision. We're overwhelmed with choices. And sometimes when we're overwhelmed, we don't make a choice, but that really is a choice. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, non-choice is a choice.
Non-choice is
non-participation is sometimes participating.
Because it's choosing the direction of your life. We're afraid of making the wrong decision, so we don't make a decision. We just talked about that. So there's too many choices. We're afraid of making the wrong decision. And this is, I think, probably one of the biggest that we all struggle with, is we let emotions overrule logic. Mm-hmm. One of the things that you help me with is, especially when I'm feeling overwhelmed, I come out of my office or we go on a walk like we did yesterday.
Ooh,
and
lots of words. Yeah.
There's lots of words.
We had lots of words.
We did lots of words.
Lots of words, friends. Lots of words.
But really saying, okay, this is how I feel. And this is when you take out the emotions and you're like, oh my gosh, that is so inhumane. But sometimes to make the right decision, we have to strip out the feelings and look at just logic. If this happens, this is going to happen, right? The reaction to, what is the age old, to every action, there's a reaction.
Right.
And so I need to make a big decision, but I can't do it just based on emotion. Because I think that's sometimes where we get into trouble, is we have a knee-jerk reaction, and then we make that decision because that knee-jerk reaction is emotional, not necessarily logical. You don't want one or the other. You need both. But a lot of times for me that you come into play with that, not just letting emotion overrule logic.
Hey, in the comments, if you have experienced that, why don't you type something in there, how you yourself navigate those types of things.
Yeah. In terms of quality of our life, we talked about, overwhelmed with choices, afraid of making the wrong decision, or letting emotions overrule logic.
Well, I think this is a pretty strong start to a new series over the next 4 weeks we're talking about. I say this to truly take back our lives from the hustle of the world.
Yeah.
Right. That's really what we're talking about, the hustle and the bustle of the world, to truly take back our lives, because we want to get control of it. We want to make the choice to move in the right direction. So
Right.
how do we begin to do that? These are some of the things that we're going to talk about over the next few weeks. I think we must pre-decide the qualities we value most.
I like that. Pre-decide. Yes.
One of the qualities, these become our non-negotiables. There has to be some non-negotiables in our life that it's non-negotiable. You're not gonna cross that line.
It's like having a riverbank, right? That's what you're talking about. The non-negotiables are a riverbank. We have fluidity in where we're going, but we're not going to go outside of the riverbank.
Hey, so let us give you a few of our non-negotiables that we have, and I think we agree on these.
Yes, absolutely. That they would be our non-negotiables.
Yes, since they're ours. Anyways,
we pre-decided.
These are number one, honesty.
Yeah, absolutely.
Honesty to the best that, I think everybody lies. People are like, oh, no, I don't lie. Yeah, everybody lies. But I think your core value of honesty is very important.
Can I say, like, when you say everybody lies, I mean, when you ask me sometimes, hey, are you okay? I'm like, I'm fine. That's a lie. You know me well. Yeah. Over 3 decades, right? You know me, but I'm not trying to lie.
Right. There's a lot of stuff going on.
I don't know how to express what's going on. So naturally, and I think because of just how we were raised, you're fine.
And I think some people are like, hey, do I look good in this outfit? And I'm like, if I tell you look terrible in that outfit, but maybe the right thing is like, dude, you look terrible in that outfit, but also depending on who the person is. So we're talking about these values. And so when we share these non-negotiables, there is some play in them to an extent.
I think grace.
A grace. So number one is honesty.
Yeah.
Ephesians chapter 4, verse 25. So stop telling lies. Let us tell our neighbors the truth, for we are all parts of the same body. Honesty. Number two is respect.
Yeah.
Respect.
That's so good.
I think this is very important. Respecting one another, respecting those around you. You see a lot of road rage incidents on the road. That boils down to respect.
Yeah.
Just to respect your fellow human being. 1 Peter 2:17, respect everyone and love the family of believers.
Yes.
Right? Fear God and respect the king.
Yeah, no, I love that. And we've learned to grow, because I mean, we work together, we live together, we do everything together. And I think especially since our boys have been gone for a while, we had to learn, I think, really respect. And listening to understand, I think, helps to, be able to know that you're on the same side, but you're seeing things from different, viewpoints and vantage points. And I think respecting that perspective and respecting the experience actually helps us make better decisions.
Exactly. I agree with that.
And I really love that. Honesty, respect. I think number 3 is integrity. Really being the same person in your house or outside of your house. Right? Your word matches your actions.
Right.
Not someone that says, one thing and then walk away and they do something completely different. I think that in a relationship is vital.
Yeah, I think for me, that's always been like, I want to be the same person to the best of our ability, wherever we're at. I'm sure we've all met somebody like, wow, that's not the person I thought you are.
Yeah.
Because I know you from work, or I know you from church. I know you from, and I'm around you in in a different social scene. I'm like, that's not, wow, that's.
Yeah. Well, that's.
And I think every person's a little bit different. You're going to be a little more let down in your home than you're at work. So it's again, like we talked about, there's grace in these things, but integrity, the core of you want to be integrity.
You're going to be same. And one of the things that I love about, you is you're the type of person, if it's not exactly correct, you're like, no, that's not exactly what I meant. Let me tell you, because there's so much you want to be honest, you want to be integrous and truthful, that you clarify something. And if it didn't come across and you feel like it's not honest, then you want to clarify to make sure that they see who you are and the actual like whatever's going on. So I love that. And I would say number 4, compassion. And when I think of compassionate, so someone that's compassionate is someone that's caring and empathetic.
Sure.
Being able to maybe see their point of view and put that into, and
I think it's great.
There's 2 scriptures, integrity, Proverbs 11:3, honesty guides good people, dishonesty destroys treacherous people. That's really true. You see it over time, right? Maybe the liar isn't, exposed initially, but eventually over time, because of their actions and what they're doing, they're going to be exposed. So honesty guides good people, dishonesty destroys treacherous people. And then compassion, Ephesians 4:32 says this, instead, be kind to each other. I love that. It's a reminder to be kind. That person is not our enemy, and realizing that, and it helps us to be kind, tenderhearted, forgiving one another, bedrock of relationship right there. Just as God through Christ has forgiven me, you.
I think in our social media age, and it's not going to change, it's going to increase.
Yeah.
More people are on social media, more people are online than ever before. It's more people are doing this than ever before. And one of the things I do so I can be more compassionate is, when people interact, we're on all kinds of social media.
Yeah,
you're watching us on YouTube, but we're on all kinds that we're endeavoring to get the message of grace out to the world, the message of Christ. And so you get a lot of comments.
Yeah.
And so what I tend to, how I interact, because I'm the one that mostly does all that, is if you have a private account and then you're doing what people are called trolling, you're just the person's being just being caustic and rude.
Right.
I just block them.
Yeah.
I don't interact with them. I just block them because you're a person that's online just to stir up hatred,
strife, and absolutely
anger. And so instead, be kind to each other, tenderhearted, forgiving one another, just as God through Christ has forgiven you. What that helps me to be tenderhearted. Yes. I'm just going to block that person because any interaction is not going to be.
Well, and then true, you have people that care, and so they want to defend, and then they get into this downward spiral. And I really think that there are a lot of positives to social media, right? We get to be connected with people that we are not in geographically, we're not able to. So we can, feel like we're part of people's lives and see what's going on. The downside of social media, I think, is the uncaring side and the trolls that are really just trying to fully emote, but they don't want to respond. So it's not a good conversation, or they want to cause people to have issues. And then we get so focused and so involved in that, and it doesn't take us to a good place.
Yeah. Well, you see this in some instances where it goes out to the real world. Somebody does that and they forget their account is not private, but they're so used to trolling people that it comes out like, whoops.
Yeah.
So I think we have to think about it. I think if we can remember a simple truth in all this,
that's
when
so
your personal
true.
values are clear, decisions become easier. I think values have to be our non-negotiables in life.
Absolutely.
What do we value the most? They are the foundation that keeps you standing strong when the storms roll in. Right. So let's say if you value integrity and honesty and just those type of things. Right. So let's say you're in a role that you're struggling financially, but you have access to your company's money.
Right.
That you're going to find out what you value the most, and you have a serious crisis in your home.
Right.
Do you just go ahead and slip a few dollars into your pocket?
Right.
Which could happen, and it doesn't mean you're the worst person in the world. But if your values is what's the bedrock of when that storm of life comes, you won't cross that line.
No, I think that's true. And, and then again, bring it back to let the values be our riverbank, the one that guides us in life, that we don't overflow. So if these are our values and you set your values, you pre-decide, right?
For sure.
And I think that pre-decision is really sitting down, and before you continue to move on, you're making a decision that's going to affect your decisions.
That's right.
As you go forward. Bringing back this question that we've asked again and again. If your life's moving in the directions of your decisions, do you like the directions your decisions are taking you?
I think that's great. And I think as we wrap up today's message, that's something we can think about. You could drop a comment inside in the comment box down there and have an interaction with among the community. You could like the video. That would help us a lot. And subscribe and press that bell. Ultimately, drop a comment in there, interact.
Yes.
Do you like the direction your decisions are taking you?
Yeah.
And we'll see you next week.